today I'll be building not one, not two, but 3 different mods. Why 3? Well, it could have been 4 or 5. I just thought 3 would be a good number. Anyways, it's been way too long since I posted a mod video, so let's get right into the build. Alright, so I'll be starting on the movement, which is the Seiko 4R36, and it features a day-date complication, as well as hacking and hand-winding capability. I always check the performance before working on any movement, like the quick-set features and timekeeping, since it would really suck to invest time into a problematic caliber. I regulated this one beforehand to save some time, and it's running anywhere from +4 to 6 seconds per day. For this build, I like a black day and date wheel, so I'll be swapping out the white ones. Depending on the type of dial a particular build will incorporate, I choose an appropriate wheel color so that the complication doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. The goal is to retain the usefulness of having the day and date without being a distraction unless the wheels are going to be sort of like an accent. For instance, let's say you have a black date only dial and the 9 o'clock marker is white. In this case, having a white date wheel at 3 would help maintain a certain degree of overall symmetry. But if you hate the look of date wheels in general, yet have a strange obsession over knowing what date it is, I'd recommend black. Or looking at your calendar every now and then, either or. You do you. So the date is just about installed, and I always check its performance before proceeding further since I can almost immediately detect any issue if by chance one exists. Just the basic natural date change and the quick set feature is tested, and once that's good to go, I clean the wheel up and top plate for any dust or particles. Onto the day wheel, and this one in particular will have a black kanji disc. I'm sure you guys know by now, I'm very persistent in keeping things clean, like obsessively, which is definitely bad for my mental health, but it's better than finding dust later on when the watch is completed. I'd have a panic attack and disintegrate. It happened years ago. I'm still regrowing my left leg. This is 100% true. Anyways, once everything is cleaned, I do a final check for the day and date operation. Again, natural change followed by quick set. Onto the dial. Here is an OEM Seiko dial, and I am particularly fond of how playful Seiko has been in the past few years. It's cleaned, aligned up, and set into the movement itself. And I check the date again because I love feeling the clicks as the wheels rotate. Just kidding, it's to check alignment. For the hands, I'll be using the OEM matching set because it pairs the best with the dial, which also has blue Loom. First, the hour hand is set and aligned into place, then eventually transferred over to my version 8935 to be pressed into place. Upon installation of each hand, I check the spacing with a loop, its operation as a standalone component, alignment, and sterilize the surface to be pretty. This is pretty much the same set of steps for each of the hands: align, set, press, check, test, and clean. Of course, easier said than done. That alignment, super satisfying. Now once the second hand is set, I stop the hacking and watch it gracefully beat 21,600 times per second. Okay, so the internals are all done and covered up, so I proceed onto the case, which is a Marine Master style with brushed flats and polished bevels. And it's bevel, not bezel. The innards are cleaned and the chapter ring gets set into place. This one is matte black with blue accented indices. I test fit the inner components to make sure it's aligned up properly, and afterwards prep it for the sapphire crystal. This one is a double dome sapphire crystal with blue AR coating on the underside only. It's carefully set into place as evenly as possible by hand, then transferred over to my version 6173 to be pressed in. Once that's all done, I check the crystal for its alignment, give it a clean, and temporarily install the case back to work on the bezel. Yes, bezel, not bevel. The click spring is put in, the gasket is lubricated and installed into the bezel, which is a Marine Master style. And if it wasn't obvious already, this is not in real time, so there was approximately like 85 hours of sterilizing the crystal in between cuts. This is also 100% true. My whole tech press is set up and the bezel is clicked into place. Now if the resulting rotation of the part isn't satisfying or up to my standards, then I'll take the bezel assembly part and make adjustments until good action is achieved. On to the crown stem work. I have a polished sign crown and the stem is worked on to fit properly. During this process, I normally work at a different station since I don't want any metal particles potentially getting onto my assembly bench, but for this video I have no choice, so I cover the surface for now. The stem is checked for any burrs and the crown is locked into place. Since this is a screw down crown, I lubricate the inner gaskets and finally slide it into place to check its operation with the build so far. Once that's all good to go, the movement is cleaned, the lubricated gasket is installed, and the case back is fit by hand before finalizing on my version 5700. I promise version is not a sponsor, I just really like their tools. It would have saved me thousands of dollars if they were though. Now on to the last part, second to last part actually. This is a ceramic dual time or Gmt Bezel Insert that can actually be used to track a second time zone. And of course I went with the blue to keep things matching. It's carefully lined up and installed into the bezel, which basically completes the build minus the oyster bracelet, which is the actual last part. This has solid links and end links held together via screws. Alright, so let's take it back to the studio and take a more in-depth look. So here is the completed build, or builds actually because I had two other versions made as well. I'm calling this series the Elemental mod, specifically Element Blue, Element Red, and Element Stealth. The build process was shown for only one of the three because no one wants to watch a 30-minute video, but here are the other two which are same in design, yet quite different at the same time. And a quick plug, if you are interested in any of these watches or previous builds that I've done in the past, like my Comet, Blood Moon, and Two-Tone Stealth, do shoot me an email as I offer full custom builds like these and or customization services for existing watches like the SKX007, SRP Turtle, Seiko 5 SRPD series, and so on. Now what I love about this design is just how all of the respective parts complement each other. We have one in blue and steel, red and steel, and full stealth. The Elemental mods all incorporate a Marine Master style case at 42mm, which is slightly smaller than the OEM 44mm Marine Master cases, but I think the 42mm size at 48mm lug to lug is much more comfortable. These were basically the same as a SKX007 since the dimensions are similar, so despite being 42, the lug to lug is short, so they're much more comparable to 40mm size divers. All three builds also have signed S crowns, 4R36 Seiko hacking and hand winding movements, AR coated double dome sapphire crystals, and dual time ceramic bezel inserts, so they can actually be used to track a second time zone. Of course, as with most bezels, you can use the triangle marker at 12 as a timer, which I usually tend to do. Without a doubt, my favorite feature is the Lume, which we have in blue, black, and red. Not only do they look cool uncharged, but they also glow in the dark. The blue glows blue, the red glows red, and the black glows green because it wouldn't make any sense if it glowed black, right? And of course, I matched the color of the chapter ring, sapphire AR coating, and ceramic inserts to the color of Lume that each watch has. The Elemental mods also incorporate OEM display case backs from my stock of parts, and what's great is that they are quite slim, so not much is added to the overall thickness. The Elemental blue and red are paired with stainless bracelets with solid end and individual links held together via screws, and the Stealth version has a rubber strap with a matching black clasp featuring on-the-fly micro adjustment. Now, ever since I started Seiko mods, my goal has always been the same: make custom watches that look OEM yet made better. Well, I think they are. Many of you guys noticed already, but that's the most important point that stays in my mind while I'm coming up with new designs, whether that's for these videos or for my client orders. Looking at all three now, it's pretty hard to choose which one I like the most, but based on a poll I posted not too long ago, you guys seem to like steel and blue the most, followed by stealth, and then red, but let me know in the comment section below if you still feel that way after seeing the 3 in the metal. I also want to point out that these aren't fixed models. Let's say you wanted the blue Lume, but also wanted something stealthy. I could absolutely make a blue stealth version made, or a red stealth, or a stainless black version even. And although not shown, there is an option to have a full blue version made by using blue components, which I think will also turn out really cool. With that said, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram at Loom_shot to check out my watch photography, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I will be doing more mod videos, so stay tuned.